The show can't start until we crack open a bottle of Revelton. Whether it's their crisp, clean vodka, the bold spice of their rye whiskey, the rich smoothness of bourbon, or the original honey whiskey that started it all, every pour is a taste of craft and passion straight from the heart of Iowa. So pour yourself a drink, settle in, and get ready to relax, laugh, and enjoy the show.
Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
From the top of Keenan, kill the roar so loud. Black and gold waving, we're a fearless crowd. Under them lights, the fight burns bright. Greatest team assembled, ready for the fight. We stand tall, we stand true. Every game, every play, got the Hawkeye view. Legends rise, and we all knew that the black and gold's coming straight for you. From a top view, seen the whole state rise. With a heart so strong and fire in our eyes. On the field, on the court, in the stands, we shine. The best in the game, and the state is mine. Cover Hawkeyes, looking, watch them break that press. Jumping dimes, hitting threes, never second guess. Full court hustle, hit the sneaker side. With the fight in our veins, we wear that pride. We stand tall, we stand true, every game.
Hey, good evening, Hawk's Eye View. Finally, game week, Drew. But we can start with the biggest football news of the day. The Green Bay Packers trading for Micah Parsons. Huge deal. Huge deal. Biggest Green Bay Packers news of my lifetime. For those of you who don't know, I'm a huge Green Bay fan. Up there with Reggie White and Charles Woodson in terms of deals in my lifetime of Packers fandom. This is right up there with those deals. It's mainly because Green Bay doesn't make this kind of a move very often. When they do, it's usually for someone big because they aren't really the type of team to trade, cash their chips in and trade unless they feel it's truly worth it. And I think it's worth it, especially giving up 2 first-round picks and a 30-year-old defensive tackle for an edge rusher, probably the edge rusher in the NFL in his prime. I think it's worth it, but
that still puts you in third place in the NFC North, but whatever. I mean, if you feel good about it, that's fine.
The sports books have Green Bay as the favorites immediately after the Parsons deal went down. Yeah, they're considered to be the favorites in the NFC North now and are the second favorites to win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl, just behind the Eagles.
What was it before?
They were probably considered second, a close second with Detroit before. They have one of the better offenses in the NFL. They had a pretty good defense last year, but not the pass rush that they wanted, and they fixed all that by bringing in Micah Parsons. So huge deal, huge moment there in Green Bay history, pushing their chips all in.
Whatever, man. The division still runs through Detroit.
Not so much anymore. Now with Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn gone and Frank Ragnow gone. Anyways, Detroit's destined for a drop-off. They'll be back closer to Detroit.
Oh my God.
They'll be back closer to the Detroit of old.
Okay.
They will.
That's ridiculous.
So, anyways, great night for Packers fans. Rough night if you're not a Packers fan. All right. Okay, maybe we buried the lead here, but the other big news is Reese Vanderzee probably out a month, Drew. Freak injury didn't happen on the field in practice, happened when he was walking up a flight of stairs around the University of Iowa campus. So don't know what that means. Stress fracture in his foot. Probably won't be back, I would say, until the Wisconsin game. Probably be held out that long out of an abundance of caution. So it's nice that Iowa has a bye week right before that Wisconsin game and then the Penn State game the week after. So Vanderzee can rest now, get healthy, come back the Wisconsin week, be ready for Penn State week. Get his feet wet against Wisconsin, be a little bit more ready against Penn State. So
I blame us for saying last week on the episode that this is the healthiest Iowa has gone into a into a season in quite some time. I blame us.
you could look at it that way. But also that was kind of a direct quote of Kirk Ferentz. So, we were just ripping off Kirk Ferentz, what he said in the press conference. So it's okay. The depth chart came out on Monday. To our surprise, Sam Phillips was listed ahead of RVZ, but Iowa likes their depth at wide receiver this year. They feel that they're legitimately 8 deep, probably 7 deep now that Vanderzee is out. So you'll see Phillips plenty. The coaches love KJ Parker. We saw Dayton Howard and Jarrett Bowie play. I thought Jarrett Bowie played well in the bowl game against Missouri. I thought he flashed a little potential there. And so I would feel comfortable seeing Bowie out there, seeing Howard out there. Howard scored a touchdown against Washington. Those are guys that have shown a little something. We haven't really seen Parker play much or show anything on the field yet. So that's a little concerning, but I think there's definitely some depth there to kind of tide us over until Vanderzee can get back about halfway through the season.
I'm a glad, as we've talked off of air, Andrew, I'm a glass half empty kind of guy when it comes to the receiver room. I'm a believe it when I see it type deal. Like everybody's saying, oh, look at all this depth the Iowa wide receiver room has. Get the fuck out of here, man. Like when has anybody been so excited about the top 3 Iowa wide receivers? I can't name. Maybe there's one set in the entire Kirk Ferentz era that I'd be like, fucking loaded. Like, great, awesome, nothing to worry about here.
The McNutt and DJK years, I think you would say that. I think you would also say that about the Brandon Smith and Smith Marset years too. I think you would also feel really good about that kind of combo.
Yeah,
that kind of crew.
But you saying we're 7 deep? Like, I'll believe it when I see it. How about that?
Okay, fair enough. I mean, we know what we have in Gill. Right, Gill is a steady force, so he's still out there. And we've seen good flashes from Seth Anderson, but he's been the one that hasn't been able to stay healthy. We also know that Sam Phillips, obviously they brought him in as a transfer. We have to see what he's going to do up transferring. But it is impressive that in all of his targets last year at Chattanooga, he didn't drop a pass. So that is something that certainly has been impressive, I think. So I think, Drew, when I say 7 or 8 deep, I don't mean 7 or 8 deep with, guys that are going to just burn defenses. I mean, there's actual scholarship level at the Power 4 level wide receivers now. I think it's an average. I think it's right in the middle of the pack in this year's Big Ten in terms of wide receivers. Whereas it's been, 2021, 2022, it was for sure dead last. Now I think it's closer to 9, 10 out of what, 16 teams? I think it's closer to 9 or 10 out of 16 teams.
How much of that do you think has contributed to quarterback play, though? Because I feel like that can go hand in hand. It's not like we haven't had talent at the receiver position that we thought was supposed to be like the next coming of McNutt, that just never panned out.
Right. Yeah, I will attribute it to what I think will be better quarterback play this year. And I'll attribute some of that to Tim Lester. And I think a guy that's done a good job is John Budmeyer. We weren't maybe so sure when Iowa hired him to be the wide receiver coach. Like, he didn't really have a track record with wide receivers. But he seems to have brought guys in that I think are worthy of a scholarship at this level and that have at least flashed something, whether they've shown it consistently. They've at least flashed something that says, okay, these guys can play at this level, right? And I think it's, for me, it's more of a vote of confidence of Tim Lester is pretty good at scheming things. And I'll trust Tim Lester to scheme things and to have a better scheme just because I think the quarterback play is going to be better.
You talk about Tim Lester like he's been here for 15 years, like Phil Parker. Like you feel like you have that much confidence going into year 2 of Tim Lester as it sounds like we do defensively with Phil Parker. Is that how you feel?
I mean, not maybe to that degree, but I listen to. I do, because I listened to Tim Lester speak, and I saw last year. I think we saw at multiple times where Tim Lester was able to make adjustments at halftime to attack different things. He wasn't able to make as many of them as he probably would have liked because I think the passing game was lacking, and we all knew that and all saw that play out. But I think he didn't just stick with what wasn't working. He at least made an attempt, Drew, to change it up, to try and attack the defense in different ways. I don't think he had the personnel specifically at quarterback to get it done last year.
Sure. Okay.
But listening to him talk, there's just a different level of offensive intelligence in terms of just running a scheme there that we haven't had.
Okay.
So I think he's going to be, I think we're going to see even more him kind of running more of his stuff. I don't think we're going to light the world on fire through the air. I do not think that. Do I think we can be, when I said 9th or 10th best wide receiver room, I think we can be the 9th or 10th best passing offense in the Big Ten. I think that's right where we're going to land, right? And that would be a dramatic step. That would be a dramatic step up for the Iowa passing offense, given the recent history.
You've seen the movie Semi-Pro, Andrew?
Yeah.
Win 4th place.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I see what you're saying, but what I'm saying,
but you know what, Andrew? Actually, let's chalk it up to this. Say Iowa does have the 9th or 10th best receiver room in the Big Ten of 18-team league now. There's been reports that the Big Ten wants to expand to 20 now. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw that.
Absolutely fucking nuts.
Especially if it doesn't include Notre Dame. I don't want that.
Right. I would say if Iowa's receiving room was 9th or 10th in the Big Ten, Iowa has a shot to play in Indy.
I don't know about Indy because we've talked about it on this show a few times. I think more so, it's probably more likely that we don't play in Indy, but could play in the college football playoffs. Because I
Yeah.
think 9th or 10th best passing offense translates to 9 or 10 wins.
Which translates into a top 4 Big Ten finish.
Top 4 Big Ten finish, which probably gets you in the playoffs, like we said.
Yeah.
So
I'm just saying ceiling. Ceiling is Indy. But like Big Ten or like college football playoff, if you're 9th or 10th best receiver, and I don't know how you would actually objectively rank those. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
at the end of the day,
it depends on what you're looking at, because people will look at yards, and I'm never a fan of looking at just pure yards per game, because I don't think it tells the whole story. I think it's more about there's efficiency numbers that you can dive into. At the NFL level, you talk about like EPA per dropback. You talk about, average net yards per attempt, air yards per attempt.
I suppose you could
It's like,
add up Pro Football Focus rankings and then divide them by a 3-man receiver room. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly how to quantify that, Drew. I think it'll just have to show in the passing and receiving numbers and maybe some of the more advanced numbers. But I think where it'll ultimately show is in the scoring numbers, right? If you're averaging 30 points per game, which I think is a realistic thing, because we were almost there last year with no passing offense to speak of. If you have literally any sort of a passing offense to speak of, I think you're capable of averaging 30 points per game. It's not that high of a bar to clear.
For sure.
We were almost there last year with no passing game, right? So the one thing that could keep us from that is the increase of the schedule. The schedule's tougher. We've talked about that several times. So I think that's kind of where we're at. But I guess what I'm trying to say is the Van Der Zee injury doesn't drastically change the course of the season, which I think last year, in a way, it did, because there wasn't the depth of talent there, because Seth Anderson was already out. Dayton Howard and Bowie were completely unproven, hadn't played. We didn't have Sam Phillips, right? So last year was a little bit different situation, I think. Once Van Der Zee went down, you're really relying on Jacob Gill, and then throwing Bowie and Howard out there and throwing Caden Weechin out there, which I think Caden Weechin isn't very polished as a wide receiver. I think he's really great at returns. I think you can throw the jet sweeps. I think you can toss it out to him wide or something on offense, but he's not very polished as like a true wide receiver.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the confidence in KJ Parker yet. So I think another offseason, they have confidence in Parker. They have confidence in Howard and Bowie because they showed something last year. That's where I'm coming from with the depth comment.
Okay. All right.
Adding Phillips too, who I think is capable at this level. Not going to light the world on fire, but capable. So, yeah, that's where we are. Real quick, before we take a little break here, give me one thing that you want to see this weekend out of Iowa football. One thing that you want to see.
Shutout.
What?
Shutout.
Shutout.
Yep.
Love that.
I guess that's one big thing, but it's a thing.
That's a big thing. I like it. I want to see. I'll kind of go in the same vein. I want to see our defensive line dominate. Albany's offensive line averages under 300 pounds per offensive lineman. So they're a little bit light on the offensive front, considering that most of their starters will be under 300 pounds. If our defensive line is as good as advertised, I think they will absolutely bully ball the Albany offensive line. In fact, I'm a little worried about them. But yeah, I want to see our defensive line dominate, and maybe along with that, kind of a second thing, a guy like Brian Allen or Jonah Pace or Bryce Hawthorne, which are Pace and Hawthorne are like the new guys that we brought in as transfers, and Allen has always oozed this potential, but hasn't realized it before, but is finally in a place on the depth chart where he will get a chance. He's kind of our third best pass rusher right behind Llewellyn and Herkett. So I kind of want to see him get out there and just put an offensive lineman on skates and get a sack.
Yeah.
Just show us something. So that's what I want to see this weekend. But all right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk Albany a little bit. We'll make our predictions, and then we'll probably get out of here for the night, Drew.
Sounds good.
All right.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing your home, or if it's simply time to renovate the one you're already living in, you need an experienced mortgage professional to help you analyze your financing options and to make sure the closing goes smoothly. And that's exactly what you get when you call Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. Kyle's experience and expertise, coupled with Wintrust's rates and programs, ensures you'll get the mortgage that's right for you. You may even qualify for down payment assistance. Before you reach out to a realtor, call Kyle and get pre-qualified, empowering you to start shopping for the home of your dreams. Call Kyle at 515-473-0546. Kyle Lehman, Wintrust Mortgage, 515-473-0546.
All right. Thank you to all of our sponsors, and we appreciate you as always. First game of the year coming up on Saturday. Drew, it just feels good to actually have a game coming up, even if it is an opponent like Albany, who I don't want to be rude or dismissive, but they're in a lot of turmoil, and they were a team that finished 4-8 last year, but then had 40 players leave the program. A lot of them starters. Some guys stayed. A few guys stayed, mainly in the secondary, but they have an interim coach because their head coach left in February to be a defensive analyst at Penn State, which is crazy. He didn't even leave for a coaching job. He left for an analyst job. It's not like he bumped up to be like a coordinator or something at a bigger level. He went for an analyst job. So we don't really know anything about them, and Kirk Ferentz said as much. He said, we could study film, but I don't know if it's worth anything because everything they were running last year was under the old coach. Their old offensive coordinator is the head coach, so the interim head coach. So maybe we can count on some of the offensive scheme that they're running to be consistent. But Kirk basically said, we're just going to show up in the fourth quarter and have to see what kind of personnel they're in and what they're running and kind of figure it out from there and adjust from there. So it's going to be a game of Tim Lester and Phil Parker and all the players on the field just kind of adjusting on the fly. Like they think they're going to run a 4-3 on defense, but they don't know. There's just a lot up in the air. I don't mean to say any of this to say that Albany is going to be a team that gives Iowa fits. But when people were surprised about the line on this game, minus 37.5, that's kind of why. They're a depleted roster, interim coach, low-level FCS team. A team like Iowa, even if they're not setting the world on fire offensively, should be favored by about that many points in this kind of a ball game.
So when you're talking about the transfer portal and interim coach and all of these changing things in the Albany program, you can think of it one in two ways, right? So you can think of, well, there's 40 of our players transferring out of the program. The head coach took a job at Penn State, which, I mean, if you got an analyst job at Penn State, you couldn't have sucked that bad, you know, for somebody that's one of the top favorites to to make the college football playoff and win it all, you know. You can be like, yeah, you lost all that talent, okay, but that talent also lost you 8 football games last year. The people that did play,
yeah.
What about the talent that came into the program?
Right. I haven't looked into the talent that came into the program, so that's a good point.
Honestly, yeah, no, either have I, and I'm not going to pretend like I know anything either. But I'm just saying to say that okay, all of these starters left a program that only won 4 games last year. So, like, what do you really know about them? You know, so look at all those classes Dion got in Colorado of 80 transfers in and 70 transfers out, some crazy bullshit like that. And it really didn't amount to anything at the end of the day, other than a Heisman Trophy winner that was basically, I don't know, the only worthy Division I player on that team. I don't know. No, that's not true. Jimmy Horn was good. Shadur Sanders is probably a backup quarterback at best in the NFL, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
There were standout players. Their team was trash. Let's put it that way. Standout players. Their team was trash.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of unknown, Andrew, and for that reason, I think the first half's gonna kind of be like, what are we looking at here? And then, you know, maybe second quarter, we're like, okay, we figured it out. Halftime adjustments, put the hammer down.
Yeah, and I think
go out.
Yeah, I really hope for a little bit of an appearance from Hank Brown in the late third quarter, run the fourth quarter kind of a situation. We've talked a lot about Nathan McNeil, and he's kind of 5th in the running back lineup. I'd like to see him get some run there in the late game for Iowa. And yeah, you know, like there were times when earlier on, maybe in like the 2010s and that kind of a thing, where Iowa wouldn't maybe put up 70 points or anything crazy like that, but they would drop 50, 60, and the backup offensive line would come in and dominate. You know, the second string would come in and dominate just like the first string against certain teams in the non-con. And that's kind of what I think we're looking at here with this Albany game, or what we should see if we think we have the team that we do, that we kind of talked about in the preseason preview. If we truly believe in, like the coaches believe in, and have talked about depth at every position, if it's as real as what the coaches believe, then I think we should see the over in this game hit too. It's set at 50.5, and I think Iowa should be responsible for most, if not all of that, Drew. So, but bringing this back to Albany and Iowa, actually, Iowa did go after a player from Albany at one point in time.
Oh,
A transferred defensive lineman from Albany, a guy by the name of Jared Verse.
oh,
Jared Verse played for Albany and then went and played 2 years at Florida State before becoming a rookie last year and had a great year with the Rams. So, but before he went to Florida State, he was considering Iowa for a time.
I do have a few of his rookie football cards from last year.
Yeah, we could have had Jared Verse on the 2022 and 2023 Iowa defense, which would have been insane.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
As good as those defenses were, those defenses could have gone to another level, Jared Verse.
Yeah.
But I digress. That's an alternate reality that we don't get to live in. So, all right. Let's make our picks. You called for a shutout, so I'm going to let you go first and see what your actual final score prediction is.
Just out of the spirit of the under, I'm going to go 49-0.
Love it. Out of the spirit of believing in the over and believing in the passing game taking a step forward and seeing that, I think Hank Brown's going to throw a touchdown in this game too. I think Gronowski will definitely throw one, but I think Hank Brown's going to get the chance to throw one too. And give me Iowa 63-6.
Holy shit.
Hey, we 63-7 North Texas, who's a level above 1 year. I don't know. This is kind of a similar situation here for Albany. So, and I think a lesser team did that to North Texas. So,
Okay.
I'll go 63-6, and we'll feel good about the offense, but we have to kind of temper that with the fact that Albany is a team in kind of turmoil. So,
You know, I'm a little pissed about this kickoff time. What's this 5 p.m. bullshit?
I don't like it. It's a lot to do with the Big Ten TV deal and the TV windows with everything being Fox or NBC or CBS for the Big Ten. It's a lot to do with that. So
I'm gonna have to watch this sucker on replay on Sunday. Unfortunately, I mean,
you're gonna be less thrilled when I tell you that the game against UMass is 6:30.
well, at least I'm not gonna be at a wedding. You know, I can actually sit here at home and watch. You know, in the comfort of my own home. But like, I'm not gonna be watching football during a wedding in PA. That's not gonna happen.
Right, but for like games like Albany and UMass, I strongly like 11 a.m. kickoffs better.
Yeah,
get this kind of a thing out of the way early.
I think I had read of 10 of the announced times, 7 of them are night kicks.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of Saturdays of nervously waiting for Iowa to take the field, and I hate it.
Yeah.
And Friday, because the Friday night game against Rutgers.
Isn't Iowa State 11 a.m.?
Yeah, it's the big noon kickoff for Fox.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that because we don't have to sit around all day for that one.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have plenty of talk about that one next week. And you know, if you live in Iowa, you'll get to hear about it all week.
That's and that's our 8th grade season debut. That's when we play our first game next Saturday.
Oh boy.
Yeah. 9 and 10:30. So I'll be catching up late. So.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Not ideal. All right. Well, one other quick note. We talked about it on the show, but McKenna Wolitsko in town. Big time recruit for Iowa this weekend for the women's basketball team. I'll say it again. Big domino that could fall. Like if she commits after this weekend, which she's going to go on the Pat McAfee show to commit on September 4, I think, is what's going down. And she's down to Iowa and South Carolina, and Iowa's got the last visit. So this is closing time for Jan Jensen.
Oh man, and
And
a lot of the staff on the McAfee shows U of I, baby. Oh snap!
Yeah, and
Schmidt.
Yeah, and it would be really cool to have Iowa front and center on the McAfee show. And a commit choosing Iowa front and center on the McAfee show for the whole world to see would be amazing.
Do they have Caitlin Clark on standby? If that's the case.
Ooh, great question.
Where's the Fever playing in that?
We'll see. But that is something to monitor next week in the lead up to the Iowa State game as well, the recruitment of McKenna Wolitsko. And then I think it'll be even more something to monitor in the coming months, who in the 2026 class for women's basketball chooses to follow with her. Because there's a couple high-level recruits, one from Iowa, Jenica Lewis from Iowa, who's still considering Iowa, that might be swayed by what Wolitsko does. There's another recruit named Addison Bjorn who might be swayed. And I saw we're getting a visit from 6'6" center as well, 2026. So that will be our third player that's like 6'5", 6'6", if we land her. We'll have Hayes and Hayden, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce her name because I will not get it right. But that would be something, because we would have 3 6'6" posts on one squad, along with Wolitsko, who's like 6'6", I believe, but a lot of good skills, and Addie Deal. So what I'm saying is this could put us back in the conversation for, making those deep NCAA tournament runs again.
Yeah.
It might look a little different because I don't think it'll be as centered around one player. I think it'll be more about collectively as a team. The team will be very talented and very good. So
the Fever do play at home and host Angel Reese in the Sky the Friday, the 5th. So she's going on the 4th.
Ooh. Maybe we're reading in between the tea leaves there, Drew.
I think so.
I think there's a little something. People feel good about this one for Iowa. They think it's leaning Iowa. And unless something goes really wrong on this visit here this weekend, I think it's going to end up in Iowa's favor.
I'm telling you, if we call this Caitlin Clark shows up on the McAfee show to give her an Iowa jersey.
Yeah, that would be.
You heard it here first. The 28th of August.
Pretty bold prediction. All right. Last thing, I think, unless you have something else before we get out of here, but high school football starts tomorrow night in the great state of Iowa. I will once again be on the Football Friday Night Show for KXNO. We appreciate KXNO and everybody there and everything that they do. And I think this is actually my 10th year doing that, Drew.
Holy cow.
Yeah. I started in 2015. So
what's your assignment tomorrow?
Oh, my assignment tomorrow is Waukee at Johnston. So I'll get to see I believe it's Evan Jacobson plays for Waukee.
Okay.
Who's the younger brother of Michael Jacobson, who played basketball at ISU.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And he's going to Texas A&M to play tight end.
Oh,
so I'll get to see him up close and personal, and really I don't know anything else about either of the two teams. I know that Waukees ranked, and Johnston has had some success recently, but I don't know what they're going to look like this year. So what I do know is it's going to be
you better get the studying. Better get the studying.
Yeah, I will. What I do know is it's going to be a nice night for high school football. I love these early season games because usually it is pretty nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you haven't heard enough of me, you can tune in and listen to the show tomorrow night. But we have other games too. It's not just my game. So you'll get to hear other people call high school football, I promise.
Hosted by Joe Stacy, and he means business.
Oh, yeah, he does. He does. Let me tell you what. Joe Stacy is a national treasure.
He is.
For sure.
Oh, and then he has to turn around. Oh, actually, you know what? He's on the call right now, is he not, for his Upper Iowa Peacocks at Drake?
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's always calling the Upper Iowa Peacocks. He's a proud alum.
He's got to be down the dial somewhere. I don't know if they broadcast or Upper Iowa down in Des Moines, but
yeah, he's on the dial somewhere. If you want to go looking through the dial tonight, he also does Dowling baseball and softball games, I think, too, when they're on in the summer. But I digress. Drew, anything for everybody out there before we call it a night?
Ready to see some actual Hawkeye football, man. It feels like we've been talking about it since like January.
Yes. I am ready to see some actual live game action, even if it's maybe the equivalent of a glorified scrimmage. I'm ready to see it.
Yeah.
I don't know how much we're going to really learn, but it'll be good to just have live Iowa football back in our lives. So something to be thankful for and to look forward to, everybody. So have a great night. Thank you for listening. And as always, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Talking football, talking hoops, every sport in between. IOWA, yeah, you know what I mean. From a Hawks eye view, see the whole state rise. With a heart so strong and fire in our eyes. On the field, on the court, in the stands, we shine. The best in the game, yeah, the state is mine.